Hi, welcome to TisTalk.
This is a podcast coming from Tisbury, Wiltshire and surrounding villages. I'm Julianne Murphy.
And I'm Mary Myers.
This is the week beginning the 25th of November.
Clear skies at last this Monday morning. We hope that Storm Bert didn't affect you too badly.
So Mary, what have we got on this week?
All right, well, we've just had the launch of Eminent Tisburghers, which is the book by Christina Richard, who edited it all. It's a really nice interview. She's such a feisty lady. And then another audio wonderful gem is going to be Jeni Bell again. Yeah, with her lovely nature writing. Then we have Izzy Fry, and she is selling her wildlife calendar, and she's a keen wildlife photographer and a lovely local girl. And we also have Peter Shallcross talking about the farmer cluster at the River Wylye and the farmer cluster here around the River Nadder and what they're both doing for flooding and for pollution in both those rivers. So that's really important.
Mary, tell me, what's a farmer cluster?
Oh yes, okay. It's a group of farms and farmers who are interested in the environment, who've got together along a certain river or a certain area. So I think there are about 40 or 50 in the country,
different clusters?
Yes, farmer clusters and I think they're all to do with local conservation issues. So in this case, they're testing the water in the River Nadder to try to see what is polluting it and, to what extent it is their fault and what extent, for example, it might be septic tanks and other pollutants like overflows from storm drains. Yeah. And then we have a bit of news about what's coming up at 'Tis the Season, and then the What's Ons.
Okay. Mary and I attended the launch of the new book Eminent Tisburghers, compiled and published by the Tisbury History Society and edited by Christina Richard. Mary caught up with Tina to find out more.
Well, I think the turnout has been really surprisingly good. I was very nervous about it, but everybody's turned up trumps. I mean, I've got a lot of the contributors here and people who've, done all the other work as well. It's been great. What it is, it's enthusiasts locally writing about people they're interested in.
Yeah, so they're all the pieces are written by individuals in Tisbury, currently living in or around Tisbury.
Absolutely.
And about eminent Tisburghers from the past. Yes. What actually motivated you to start it in the first place?
I think initially it was finding out that we'd got 3 or 4 ladies who'd been at Bletchley, and nobody seemed to realise that, and I thought it was a little coincidence. And then I started thinking about, we've had quite a lot of interesting people in Tisbury. I'm sure this is true of other places in Britain. There are loads of probably large villages or small towns who could do the same sort of thing. And it's these people who've had some sort of national acknowledgement. They've done something nationally. I found that we had enthusiasts initially in the History Society who would like to write about someone, who knew a bit about someone, and I just sort of put it together like that.
Yeah. So you approached your friends.
Yes, people like Sean Moran and
who else?
Martin Shallcross, who's written about Robert Willis, for example. And, there were a number of people who said, oh, yes, I'd like to write about, Claire Miles, who's written about George Dannett. I mean, Anne Marion Davis has done 2 or 3 pieces. So it was great. I deliberately avoided doing too much Fonthill because Caroline Dacres has already covered it so beautifully and so in such depth that I decided I wouldn't touch any of those, with the exception of John Bradshaw, the regicide, and Sir Bernard Neville.
Is everybody in this book dead?
All the subjects.
Yes.
No, not quite. What happened was that, sadly, Robert Willis died about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Did you know about the very Reverend Robert Willis, who was Dean of Canterbury?
Who Martin Shallcross has written
absolutely.
about.
And Robert has himself written a piece for me.
Ah.
And now he sadly has died.
Oh.
So he's gone. The last person who's alive, the only other person who's alive, is John Needham. And I really did want to include him because I felt that his work on the fossils was so important.
I imagine you could have probably done double the book, even with dead people.
Yeah, I could have done more. One of the problems has been getting grants, because the whole thing is officially for Tisbury History Society. It's Tisbury History Society's 50th year in the 25.
Okay.
Yes. So I wanted to commemorate the 50th year of Tisbury History Society. I won't make anything out of this. None of us will make anything out of this, except the History Society will get the whole of the proceeds.
Okay.
So I wanted to get grants to cover the cost of publishing. And I've got two really good grants. I've got one from the Alice Coombs Trust, which I was very pleased about, but I also got one from the Chalk Valley History Trust. And everybody had said to me, "Oh, you won't get one from them, they won't," but they did. They did. The one I'm really disappointed about is the South West Wilts Area Board, which did not give me a grant.
That's Wiltshire Council.
Yes, and I thought that was very short-sighted of them. Whatever we make out of this will probably be subsumed into the cost of running the archive and the website.
Right.
Which is for the people of Tisbury and South West Wilts. And the person who's been most helpful, and I really want to record this, is David Eldridge, who's a comparatively newcomer to the village, but an expert in layout and publishing. He was with Penguin Random Books. He's been wonderful. So we've got it published, and the cost of the book's a hardback, and it's quite a presentable book, isn't it?
It's a lovely looking book.
The cost of the book will be $20.
TisTalk, a podcast from Tisbury on tistalk.buzzsprout.com.
Next, we're welcoming back to TisTalk the lovely Jeni Bell. She's got another beautiful piece of nature writing for us.
When we think of migrating bird species, our minds drift back to the softness of spring or the hazy days of summer when swallows, swifts and house martins danced in our skies. Grey November days don't conjure up images of birds arriving, but they are. My favourites are the Redwings, that herald a seasonal slip as we head into the dark half of the year. This piece celebrates their arrival, and it's called The Return of the Redwing. They arrive by the cover of darkness, under the moon's watchful eye. Their seeping calls, thin as the chill air, announce their presence to those still awake in the late hours, when the chase is dressed in night's velvet cloak. The redwing is a bird of the winter places, Scandinavia, Russia, Finland. They come here to sing winter's song. Their wings ushering the new season in, driving it along the old ox droves, scattering the first nip of frost out across the valley, sending the first chill winds to whisper along the walls of Wardour Castle, and drawing the first tendrils of mist to rise from the Nadder. It's a big feat for a little bird to be charged with such a journey and the overseeing of seasonal shifts. But they carry its weight with honour and ease, and they are not alone in their task. The slightly larger fieldfare, with its November grey head, often travels with them. They form foraging groups together, along with other thrushes that make their home here all year, the song and the missile. Squadrons of them stalk furrowed fields, rising together en masse when disturbed, flickering figures spreading out across the skies, a zoetrope of wings moving on to the next spot, to the next hedgerow, to the next field. I spotted them recently on a walk in Swallowcliff, my first ones this year. Their familiar shapes in the very top branches of an old oak, surveying their surroundings, their new home for the season. I wonder how they get their bearings in this new place, how they map out the woods in their mind's eye, or if they remember them from previous visits. Before I can get close to them, they're gone, up and away into the grey cloud that hangs thickly. But they flash their namesake before they leave, a glowing red berry of russet under their wings, their very own fires to keep them warm in this cold.
You're listening to TisTalk from Tisbury in Wiltshire and the Nadder Valley.
Now Mary talks to young photographer Izzy Fry about her new wildlife calendar.
So I'm sitting here in Beaton's with Izzy Fry. Hi Izzy, thanks for coming on TisTalk.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So we hear that you've got a new calendar out. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so each year I create my own calendar with all my wildlife photos. I normally keep it to just British wildlife. So the 12 photos that I'm using this year, I've taken over the past couple of years and include things like blue tits, red squirrels, robins, gannets, and loads of different wildlife species.
Great.
Throughout the year. A lot of them are local from around this area. There's also some, like a red squirrel from Brantesy Island. The gannet is from Bentham Cliffs, but they're all taken in the UK, so all British.
Right. How did you get into wildlife photography, Izzy?
So I have been doing wildlife photography for a couple of years now. My grandparents are avid wildlife photographers and have kind of taught me everything I know and lent me their cameras to use. So yeah, just ever since then, just been out practicing, taking photos on my own in different places and just grown from that. So the calendars I now kind of do to just get my name out there. I don't really do for money purposes. But at this point in my life, I'm not interested about the profit. So yeah, anything is better than nothing. So I will be taking pre-orders, mainly advertising it on Facebook. But if you pop into Beaton's, and I can take orders from there as well. I'm then going to do a bulk order, and then I'll message everyone when I've got them and deliver them out there.
Okay, and they are how much?
They are going to be £14 this year, and then that will include delivery.
And some of that will go towards your plans for travelling the world.
Yes, absolutely. All of the profits will go towards helping me get to Southeast Asia in February, where I'm spending 3 months travelling around Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia and Bali. Yeah, in September, I'll be heading down to Exeter Uni, the Penryn campus, and studying wildlife conservation and ecology.
Oh, well, best of luck with that. Thank you, Izzy.
Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at TisTalk Listeners and Fans.
Next, Peter Shallcross and I have a chat about crap. In other words, all the manure that's finding its way into our River Nadder and the Wylye and what we're going to do about it. Right, I'm with Peter Shallcross at Wallmead Farm, and we're talking about a talk that we both attended last night. In fact, you organised. Can you just tell us what it was?
It was organised by the Tisbury and District Natural History Society. We're very lucky to have the ecologist Robin Leach came to talk to us, and he is the ecologist employed by Joss Stratton in the Wylye Valley, and he's also the facilitator for the Wylye Valley Farmer Group. The reason that he was come to talk to us last night was to talk about the water testing and everything to do with the River Wylye and what the Wylye Valley farmers are doing to test and to clean up the river. So that was one half, and the second half was the big funding project they've got in connection with or in partnership with the Wiltshire Wildlife Trust, which is a nature recovery project which covers a lot of the Wylye, and it entails changing the course of the river, big engineering schemes to return the river to its natural state as far as possible.
Right. So this is a project that's basically trying to tackle two things to do with the River Wylye, the flooding and the pollution. Basically.
That's right, yeah.
Yes,
and they're both the same thing, really.
Right, in what way?
Well, so the Nadder Valley farmers are testing the water every week at, I think, 16 different points up and down the Wylye for phosphate and nitrates, and also sediment load. And they can see where the worst pollution is and hopefully see where it's coming from. Particularly with the sediment, you can tell where the pollution is actually the source of it, whether it's from runoff from grassland, direct from cows, sewage works, soil from arable fields, road runoff, all the multiple pathways that the pollution gets into the river. And the sediment's very useful to learn that. And actually on the Nadder, we've copied the Wylye Valley protocols, so we've been testing the water here.
So just on that link between flooding and pollution that you said is the sort of two things, it's two sides of the same coin in a way.
Okay, yeah. So the solution to pollution is quite varied. So one is to stop the sources of the pollution, and that's what they're testing for. But also, if you can hold up the water in the river floodplain, so it's reconnecting the river with the meadows. So if you wind back the clock and allow the river to flood far more, then you're holding up the water, and when you do that, the sediment drops down out of the water, and the water's miraculously cleaner of phosphates.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, very, very straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in this case, flooding is good. I mean, we want flooding because it drops the sediment. But what about the bad effects of flooding? I mean, that's also an issue, isn't it?
Certainly is. So this is stopping flooding further down. So it's holding up the water further up where it's not damaging.
Yeah, so on fields that can take it.
Yeah, and the farmers are going to be funded through the Nature Recovery Project to lose the production on their fields.
Oh, okay. And then it slows the water down so it doesn't flood urban areas or villages further down.
That's right.
That's a very good explanation, Peter. So just on why you put this talk on for us here in Tisbury, and on why the Nadder can learn from the Wylye.
Paul, so we're testing 26 points, and this is Tracy Adams, who's the facilitator for the Nadder group, and she's going out weekly and taking the samples and then taking them up to the Wylye Valley lab to test them, and that's already giving us a picture of the point pollution on the Nadder.
So when did the testing actually start?
6 months ago. So we've got 6 months of data, and we've got funding from the Farming in the Protected Landscapes grant for another 6 months, and also we got funding to start the sediment testing, and it's all in conjunction with other bodies like Rothamsted Research, which is part of the Environment Agency, and also the Wessex Rivers Trust. So they're the experts which inform what we're doing, and they can analyse the results. So So Rothamsted are helping us, or will be helping us, with the sediment testing.
As far as we know, I think enough people have signed up, which is great, local volunteers. So testing is for what?
Yeah, testing
on the Nadder.
Yeah, so it's the same as the Wylye Valley, because there's only certain things we can test for, and the main agricultural pollutants are phosphates and nitrates, and a lot of those are held in sediment, so runoff from fields, muck from cows and sheep, and they all get bound up with the sediment. So if you test the sediment as well, you can see where it's coming from.
Now, you as a farmer, in a way, you're kind of making a rod for your own back, aren't you, in a way, because you're testing, and lo and behold, you're showing that you and other farmers are the culprits, to put it to put it bluntly.
Well, I think a lot of a lot of members of the cluster group think it'll show that farmers aren't the culprits. I think, and it's not, and certainly not all the pollution is caused by farmers. And the Nadder is especially different because it rises on green sand, and green sand is very high in phosphates already. So you've got to take that background rate level out of the equation. And in terms of the Environment Agency rating a river as to how polluted it is, it should really take account of that background phosphate. So the whole point of the testing is to get farmers to talk about what we're doing, become better farmers because of it, showing them there is a problem, where it's coming from. But the other key element which has been lacking is the Environment Agency enforcing the rules. They've been non-existent. They don't do the testing. They haven't done farm inspections for many. Yes, and the Environment Agency are inspecting all of the livestock farms in this area on the catchment.
You mean they're starting to, after a period of being very absent?
That's right. They've employed another 16 people. So I think that means that they have got the ability to come and do farm inspections. And we're all working to a common objective, which is to clean up the river. So.
Yeah, and also not to do too much runoff in the first place.
Well, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And that's what the Environment Agency are doing their report on when they do the inspection, is stop the pollution at source.
Yeah, so that's using less fertiliser, it's cover crops, what other measures?
Yeah, and the other one they're enforcing is the slurry and silage regulations and diesel as well, fuel. So it's all run off from those sources they're checking up on as well.
Right. I mean, what do you do with all the manure from your cows? Where does it go?
If they're grazing, it's not too much of a problem because the dung beetles all work on it and it doesn't actually go very far.
All right.
It's the runoff that's the problem. So the problem is in the winter when they're housed for 6 months when they can't physically go out to grass.
Right.
It's all got to be captured. So all the liquids and the solids have got to be captured, and it's too wet to spread them. So it's a question of storing them for 6 months. So it's either an earthbank lagoon built on clay, so it can't go anywhere, or it's a concrete lined lagoon.
Thank you very much, Peter. That's very well explained.
Thank you.
You're listening to TisTalk from Tisbury, Wiltshire.
Jerry Mason has news on the upcoming Tis the Season on the 7th of December. And that's followed by Alan Marion Davis promoting the Nadder Community Energy Store that they will be manning at the Tis the Season, and why you should make it your business to go and talk to them.
Tis the Season will be on Saturday the 7th of December, hopefully starting from 2 o'clock. It's going to be slightly different. We're going to have it as an afternoon-evening event. We will have the high street closed and the square will be closed. We'll be having a whole range of market stalls, people selling clothes, cosmetics, Christmas events. There will be a lot of food and drink stalls for people to enjoy. We've got a whole range of stuff going on. We will also have some live music in the square. We will have a Father Christmas. He's going to be, we hope, in the Sacred Heart Church reading rooms. We're not aiming to make a profit out of Tis the Season. If we have a surplus at the end of the day, that's great. And what we've agreed is that any surplus we will split 50-50. 50% will go to the Carnival Committee to organise next year's Carnival. The other 50% will retain for use to organise Tis the Season 2025, so we can make it even bigger and better.
So I'm with Alan Marion Davis, and you've got a message to give out about Nadder Community Energy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I really wanted to mention to people was that with Tis the Season coming on, there'll be a lot of stalls, and I just wanted to let people know that amongst those stalls up in the high street there, Nadder Community Energy will be there in person. And the idea is that we just like people to come and have a chat, and they can talk about what sorts of energy they'd like to have produced in their home. Can they make some changes, for instance, to their own home and put in say a heat pump or solar panels or electric car charger, that sort of thing we can talk about. But, we can have nice arguments and chats about the good things and the bad things about energy and community energy in particular. I mean, Nadder Community Energy is just it's run by volunteers. It's completely non-commercial. It's part charity and part just providing energy mainly so far solar panels on schools and community buildings and things like that. And we also raise money for various community projects. So we're very much a non-commercial outfit, and we're not trying to press any particular supplier or installer or anything, but just give advice really and point people in the right direction. One other thing to mention, because it's that time of year when the weather's beginning to turn a bit cold, people need to think about keeping their homes warm, and that niggly draft. Can they do something about that, or that slightly mouldy bit of wall there, that cold spot in the corner of the room? Can they do anything about that? Well, Nadder Community Energy have got a scheme called Warmer at Home, and we're very happy to come to people's homes. There's two of us. We've been specially trained using a thermal camera to show up nice colour pictures of where the cold spots are in your home, because you may not be aware of those, and then just do something simple about that, some simple DIY fixings, or to give you advice on who else can help. Not commercial, just where you can go for more advice and ideas as to what could be done for that particular problem. So that's called Warmer at Home, so just check that out.
Fantastic. Well, that's really good to know.
One other thing, just to let you know, that the Tis the Season will be powered by electricity from an electric car battery.
That's great, and I think that was the case during the carnival too.
It was. So we're doing that again this time around too.
All organised by Nadder Community Energy.
Yeah, part of our community benefit programme.
That's very good. Okay, green future, here we come. Thank you very much. And we end, as ever, with what's on in our area with Lal Pointer.
On Tuesday 26th, the Carer Cafe will be in Beaton's Tea Rooms from 10:30 until 12 noon. At 11:15am, Chair Yoga will be in the Hinton Hall and the session is an hour long. At 7pm, the Tisbury Flower Group Christmas Demo will be held in the Hinton Hall. And on Wednesday the 27th, the Tisbury Memory Group meets at 10am until 12 noon. Thursday the 28th, the RNID Hearing Aid Support Session will take place in the Nadder Centre between 10 and 11am. Later at 7pm, for a 7:30 start, the Natural History Society talk will be in the Victoria Hall. Also on Thursday the 28th and Friday the 29th, there is a Christmas fair at River Barn in Fonthill Bishop. For more details, go to their website, riverbarnfonthillbishop.co.uk. On Friday the 29th at 7pm for a 7:30 start, it is Friday Night Jazz with Sarah Griffiths in the Victoria Hall. Saturday the 30th, and at 8:30am sharp at the Royal Oak in Swallowcliff, the Tisbury breakfast followed by a talk from Mark Dunkley on Heritage at War. At 10:30am until 12:30, get in the mood for Christmas at the St John's Christmas Charity Fair, which will be in the Hinton Hall. And later the same day, Saturday the 30th, a St Andrew's Day Ceilidh will be in the Victoria Hall from 7pm until 10:30pm. And that's it for this week.
Just a last minute date for your diaries. The Tisbury History Society is opening its archives. It's a once a month event and it's Monday 2nd of December 10 to 12 noon at the Nadder Centre.
That's all from us. We've been Julianne Murphy
and Mary Myers. With special thanks this week to Finn Murphy and Tom Davison for the music.
You can contact us on tistalkradio@gmail.com.